Welcome back, everyone, to the Brick Breakdown. I am Matt Brick, your host. Today is Friday, June 2nd, 2023. Let's get right into the news. 49ers GM John Lynch says that Brock Purdy recently had his first throwing session and he's hitting all of the checkpoints. Brock Purdy clearly got hurt in the NFC Championship last year. That's why they cried and they needed an emergency quarterback, and that's the new rule. Is what it is. Brock Purdy's okay now, and it looks like he's going to do what he's going to do. Shannon Sharp reached out, reached a buyout agreement with FS1, and his final appearance on Undisputed is expected to be after the NBA Finals. Hunters are people too. Brett Kern retired after 15 years. He played in Tennessee and he played in Philadelphia as well. Josh McDaniels talked about Jimmy G to the reporters, said you guys might have anxiety about it, but I don't. Talking about the recent surgery Jimmy G had. Tom Brady said, quote, I'm certain I'm not playing again. I'm looking forward to broadcasting. I look forward to my broadcasting job at Fox next year. So to those who believe Brady is coming back, I mean, I get it, but I feel like it's just not. I don't think he's coming back. Who knows? But I don't think he's gonna come back for another year. Frank Reich told reporters that they're going to experiment using Laviska Shenault in a Deebo Samuel type of role. I always liked Laviska Shenault. It's a shame that he hasn't gotten the production just yet. He hasn't broken out yet. But maybe this could be huge for Laviska Shenault. I guess we'll see. Don't know if he'll be able to adapt to that type of role. They're saying he can. Is what it is. All right, today we're going to break down the AFC East. This was another. I mean, this one I think was maybe a little bit easier because there's a lot of wins in this division. In my opinion, I didn't think there was going to be as much. Did not think the Jets were going to be as good as I think they're going to be. So that's going to be interesting to dive into. I didn't think the Patriots are going to be as bad as I think they're going to be. They might not be. I might. This might be a hot take, but let's get right into it. I have the New England Patriots going 3-14. Hot take, really hot take, and I'm prepared to be wrong. But let's get right into the schedule. So, week 1, they play at home against my Philadelphia Eagles. Tom Brady will be there. They'll be honoring him. I think the Eagles are just the better team. And I'm trying not to be that biased, but I think the Patriots offense just isn't going to be that great this year. Week 2, Sunday Night Football versus the Dolphins. I have that as a loss. Week 3 at the Jets, that's a loss. Week 4, Cowboys in Dallas, that's a loss. Week 5 against the New Orleans Saints, I have that as their first win. Next week, week 6 in Las Vegas against the Raiders, I have that as a win. Week 7 at home against Buffalo, division rivalry, that's a loss. Week 8 in Miami against the Dolphins, I have that as a loss. Week 9 at home against the Washington Commanders, I have that as a win. The Week 10, this is the Germany game versus the Indianapolis Colts, I have that as a loss. Week 11 is their bye week. Week 12 in New York at the Giants, I have that as a loss. Week 13 at home against the Chargers, I have that as a loss. Week 14 versus the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. This is where I think that before I continue, I think the Patriots have a tough schedule. That's why I have them so low. They can win more than 3 games for sure. For sure. This next 3 weeks, 14, 15, 16, are all primetime games. That's crazy. Would not be surprised if they get flexed out because I don't think they're going to be a good team. Week 14, Thursday Night Football against the Steelers at home. I have that as a loss. Week 15 at home against the Chiefs. Monday Night Football. I have that as a loss. Week 16 at Denver. Sunday Night Football. I have that as a loss. Week 17 against the Bills in Buffalo. I have that as a loss. And last week of the year at home against the Jets. I have that as a loss. They have a tough schedule. They really do. Could they beat the Colts? Yes. Could they beat the Steelers? Yeah. Could they surprise us and maybe split with the Jets? Sure. Could they split with the Dolphins? Maybe. I don't know. But there's nothing on that offense that is just wow to me. I think Mac Jones is an accurate passer. However, I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is enough for them to win and go to the playoffs. Let's get right into their additions and losses real quick. So they lost Jonnu Smith, tight end, to the Falcons, Nelson Aguilar to the Ravens, Jake Bailey, the punter, to the Dolphins, Isaiah Wynn, right tackle, to the Dolphins, Joe Juan, I believe that's his, I'm guessing that's how you say it, Williams, to the Vikings, Damian Harris to the Bills. I think that's a good one. That's a tough one to lose. Damian Harris, I like him. Yadni Kajusti, I'm guessing here. He went to the Jets. That's it. Let's see who they got. They got Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins. That's a good tight end there. Of course, they got Juju Smith-Schuster. They got Riley Reif from the Bears, Calvin Anderson from the Broncos, Chris Board from the Lions, Anthony Ferkser, he's underrated, from the Patriots, Trace McSorley, quarterback from the Cardinals, James Robinson from the Jets. I forgot about that one. Corliss Waitman from the Broncos. And they kept guys like Scotty Washington, tight end, Joe Cardona, Carl Davis, Daniel Ukule, Jabril Peppers, Brian Hoyer left. I missed that one. And Jonathan Jones, Jalen Mills, they kept as well. They also drafted Kayshon Boutte, however you want to pronounce it. I think it's regardless, bigger picture here, don't think the Patriots are having a good season. Whether it be, I think the most games they can win probably like 7. But the bar's low for me. So hot take, but I'm rolling with the punches. Fantasy impact. Let's see. They have Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is a great sleeper this year, to be honest. I like him as only in a dynasty league, in my opinion. Like, I feel like I would only draft him in a dynasty. Like, I would go and try to get him very cheap, very cheap, very cheap. But I would only do that, like, when he has a really bad game. Like, just, like, try to get him for nothing. And I'm telling you, I think Mac Jones, I don't know if they're going to keep him, but I feel like he's still a good quarterback, and I don't think they have the best weapons. But I'm starting to get a little intrigued with Mac Jones. I don't think he's as bad as people are saying. If he sucks, he sucks. I mean, we'll all know, but I just think that he's better than we think. That's where I'm going to go with Mac Jones there. In a redraft league, I wouldn't really go crazy unless he, clearly blows up. But yeah, Mac Jones, guess we'll have to see. Ramondre Stevenson, I think he's going to have a great year. I like him. I mean, I think with here's my thing with the Patriots running backs. Every year they're a committee, and that's why I'm always out on Patriots running backs because I just don't know what the carries are going to be, which is really frustrating. So, and I can see Stevenson having the most carries this year, but I don't know how much production and how many fantasy points he's going to give my fantasy football team. So I don't know, because there's James Robinson there now, and how many touchdowns, how many yards is he going to vulture from Stevenson? God forbid a running back on the Patriots fumbles, they're immediately put in the doghouse because Bill Belichick is there, and the next guy goes in. That is just always how it's been. That's why I like to stay away from New England running backs, but I like Stevenson as a player. Yeah, if you want to draft Ramondre Stevenson, I have no problem with it. I just don't think he's my type of guy for my fantasy football team. I would like him in a dynasty. Don't think I would take him in a redraft. Juju Smith-Schuster, talked about him earlier. Hey, I could be totally wrong. I think Juju's good. He's a good player. I don't know if he'll be able to have an amazing fantasy year. I guess we'll see. It's kind of the same with Mac Jones. Like if Mac Jones is great, Juju will be great. It can't be Mac Jones is bad and then Juju's really great. Like that doesn't make sense. But I think if Mac Jones shows up, I think Juju will be a good fantasy asset, and I would consider Juju if I take the time to think about it and go, yeah, Mac Jones is going to be crazy this year, but I don't think he will be. Hunter Henry, I would pass on Hunter Henry, but he's there as our tight end, so he might shock us. He always gets hurt though. That's my only beef with Hunter Henry. All right, let's talk about the New York Football Jets. This could be another hot take. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I have the Jets going 12-5 this year, which was not expecting me to give them 12-5 going into it. I think they have a good schedule. And I think this Jets team is good. They're going to be good. Aaron Rodgers, clearly going to be good. He hasn't been as prime and unbelievable as he has been, clearly. But he's back with Nathaniel Hackett. This Jets defense is young and ready to explode. Robert Saleh, phenomenal head coach. Let's get right into the schedule here. Week 1, Monday Night Football against the Bills. That's a great Week 1 game. Monday Night Football. I have the Jets lose this one. Week 2 in Dallas against the Cowboys. I have them win. Week 3, like I just said, they beat the Patriots at home. Week 4, at home against the Chiefs. Sunday Night Football. I have that as a loss. Week 5, at Denver versus the Broncos. That's a win. Week 6 versus the Eagles at home. That's a loss. Week 7, bye. Week 8, at the Giants. That's a win. So it's really a home game, but it's just, the Giant, whatever. Week 9, Monday Night Football at home versus the Chargers. That's a win. Week 10, at Las Vegas versus the Raiders. That's a win. Week 11, at the Bills in Buffalo. I have that as a win. Week 12, at home versus the Dolphins. I have that as a loss. Week 13 versus the Falcons at home. I have that as a win. Week 14 versus the Texans at home. I have that as a win. Week 15 at Miami versus the Dolphins. I have that as a win. Week 16 at home versus the Commanders. I have that as a win. Week 17 at Cleveland. That's a loss. Week 18 at New England. I have that as a win. Yeah, these Jets, like I said, these Jets are going to be a good team this year. They drafted Israel Abanaconda, the running back. They clearly obviously still have Breece Hall coming back from injury. They got Allen Lazard. Let's get right into who they lost first. They lost Braxton Berrios, wow, to the Dolphins. Did not think that through. I don't remember that happening, but Braxton Berrios was kind of like a security blanket for the Jets for a while. So that's a loss. Sheldon Rankins went to the Texans. Dan Feeney to the Dolphins. Mike White, quarterback, to the Dolphins. Elijah Moore went to the Browns. That's an important one. Nate Herbig to the Steelers. Cedric Agbuhai. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He went to the Dolphins. Nathan Shepard to the Saints. Jeff Smith, wide receiver, went to the Giants. Braden Mann to the Steelers, punter. James Robinson to the Patriots. Who they received? Obviously, Aaron Rodgers. They got Alan Lazard. They got Chuck Clark, safety from the Ravens. That's a good pick. Quentin Jefferson from the Seahawks. Wes Schweitzer from the Commanders. Al Woods from the Seahawks. They got Randall Cobb from the Packers, another Aaron Rodgers guy. Billy Turner from the Broncos. Thomas Morstead from the Dolphins. Mecole Hardman from the Chiefs. Underrated pick. Underrated. Not talked about a lot. Tim Boyle from the Bears. Tristan Colin Castillo. Yadni Kajuste from the Patriots. That's about it. I just think that this Jets defense is going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're underrated. Let's talk about their fantasy impact real quick. Aaron Rodgers, obviously one of the best. He'll be in a redraft. Underrated probably, and he'll take some time. You'll probably get him later in the draft. So I would do that for sure. If you want to measure starter, yeah, go for it. You clearly have Garrett Wilson still. He's going to be, if it's not Wilson, it'll probably be Lazard, the number one, but I think it'll be Wilson because he's just so talented. Garrett Wilson, yeah, draft Garrett Wilson, please. Breece Hall, I'm not all in on Breece Hall because he tore his ACL last year. It usually takes a year for a player to come full force. So I would not draft Breece Hall, in my opinion. Alan Lazard, again, could be wide receiver one. Could be Alan Lazard this year. I don't know. I think it will be Garrett Wilson because, like I said, he's very talented and he's young. But hey, Rodgers could just use Lazard as a security blanket and use him. Mecole Hardman could be a big sleeper this year, and I kind of forgot that he went to the Jets, but he could steal some touchdowns for sure. So keep your eye out for Mecole Hardman on that waiver wire this year. All right, let's go to Miami and let's talk about the Dolphins. This is probably the highest take I've had so far because it's go big or go home. I have the Miami Dolphins going 14-3 this year. I understand there are some concerns about Tua Tagovailoa because of the amount of concussions he had last year and the amount of time he missed and how unfortunate that whole injury, the injuries he had was, and it was very scary and unfortunate. But when Tua was playing, he was electric. To me, he progressed, and I think I think he's being underrated right now because I think people are scared, and I think they have the potential to be one of the best, if not the best, team in the AFC. Is that a crazy take? Sure. I'm okay with that. But I just think that this Dolphins team, great defense. I like the coach. But yeah, let's get right into the schedule. Week 1 at Los Angeles against the Chargers. I have that as a win. Week 2 at New England, Sunday Night Football. That's a win. Week 3 at home versus the Broncos. That's a win. Week 4 at the Bills. That's a loss. Week 5 at home versus the Giants. That's a win. Week 6 versus the Panthers at home. That's a win. Week 7 at Philadelphia, Sunday Night Football. That's a loss. Week 8 versus the New England Patriots. That's a win. Week 9. This is to me, this game defines the Dolphins in 2023. Week 9 in Germany versus the Chiefs. I have the Dolphins beating the Chiefs. If they lose this game, I think this will dictate where they seed in the playoffs. But for now, I have the Dolphins winning. I'm very optimistic. Week 10 is their bye. Week 11, at home versus the Raiders. That's a win. Week 12, it's Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble, it's Turkey Day. Away at the Jets, that's a win. Week 13, at Washington versus the Commanders, that's a win. Week 14, at home versus the Titans, Monday Night Football, that's a win. Week 15, at home versus the Jets, that's a loss. Week 16, at home versus the Dallas Cowboys, that's a win. Week 17, versus the Ravens at home, that's a win. Week 18, at home versus the Bills, that's a win. I'm very, very high on the Dolphins this year. I know it could be. I know it's a hot take. I'm totally fine with it. But everyone is so concerned about Tua, and I'm not. I think that as long as he stays healthy, which I think he will, they are going to be a very, very efficient team, and they're going to win a lot of football games. That's just the way I look at it. Let's look at the additions and losses for the Miami Dolphins. Remember, they also drafted Devon Achane, who people are really excited about. I don't know. We'll see, because there's a lot of running backs there. They lost Mike Gesicki to the Patriots, Eric Rowe to the Panthers, Landon Roberts from the Steelers, Greg Little from the Texans, John Jenkins from the Raiders, Thomas Morstead to the Jets, Hunter Long from the to the Rams, Trent Sherfield to the Bills, Brandon Shell to the Bills, Michael Dieter to the Texans. That's it. Okay. They got Jalen Ramsey from the Rams. Jalen Ramsey still has juice in the tank. And for them to have Ramsey and Xavier Howard on this defense is going to be wild. So I'm really excited to see that. I'm willing to draft the Dolphins or Jets defense in fantasy football this year. Write that down. Chosen Anderson. I don't even want to talk about Chosen Anderson. I'm calling him Robbie Anderson. No, I'm not. Chosen Anderson, wide receiver from the Cardinals, is now a Dolphin. Okay. Braxton Berrios from the Jets, underrated. Jake Bailey, punter from the Patriots. Dan Feeney from the Jets. Isaiah Wynn from the Patriots. Mike White from the Jets. Malik Reed from the Steelers. Tyler Kroft from the 49ers. He's underrated. Eric Saubert from the Broncos. Cedric Ogbuhi, I said his name earlier, from the Jets. Deshaun Elliott from the Lions. Freddie Swain from the Broncos. I remember him. He's not terrible. David Long from the Titans. And they kept guys like Duke Riley, Durham Smythe. Wow. Yeah, he's good. They extended him. Good. Nick Needham, they kept him. Raheem Mostert, they kept too. So there you go. Let's look at their fantasy impact. You clearly have Tua. If you're scared, don't take him. But if you think that Tua is able to stay healthy and he's able to win football games, draft Tua. I think he's going to be phenomenal this year. This is a Tua breakout season. I'm telling you. Write it down. Yeah, love Tua. Tyreek Hill, clearly going to be top 5, top 10 wide receiver this year. Probably top 5, maybe top 1. Who knows? Tyreek Hill is just clearly the fastest wide receiver in this league. He's just a phenomenal playmaker. He catches that ball, and it's just like, what? How did he catch that? But he's just so fast that it's just like he's always open. That's his whole thing. So obviously, draft Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle, yeah, he's going to take some touchdowns away from Hill, and I'm all for it. So I would totally take Jalen Waddle. I'm a big fan of him in Dynasty and redraft. Raheem Mostert, he always gets hurt. That's his whole shtick. Not unfortunately. Unfortunately, he's gotten hurt a lot. So I would not want to draft him. Plus, it's another situation where it's a running back committee in Miami. So I'm not really interested in committees. I want the guy that is the workhorse, like a Derrick Henry or like a Christian McCaffrey. That's who I want on my fantasy football team. Who else do they have? I'm blanking right now. No, I think that's all I have. Okay. Let's go and do the Buffalo Bills. I have the Bills also going 14-3. Bills are a great team. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, possibly DeAndre Hopkins. I heard possibly not DeAndre Hopkins. You got Dawson Knox. They're going to be a great team. Let's go to the schedule. Week 1 at the Jets Monday Night Football. Going to be a great game. Have the Jets losing. Have the Bills winning that game. Week 2 versus the Raiders. That's a win. Week 3 at Commanders. That's a win. Week 4 versus the Dolphins. That's a win. Week 5 in London against the Jags. That's a win. Week 6 versus the Giants. That's a win. Week 7 at the Patriots. That's a win. Week 8 Thursday Night Football versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have that as a win. So this is another back-to-back-to-back prime time situation. 8, 9, 10. Weeks 8, 9, right? Yeah. Weeks 8, 9, 10. Prime time for the Bills. So 8 is the Thursday Night Football against the Bucs. Week 9 at Cincinnati against the Bengals. Sunday Night Football, I have that as a win. Week 10 Monday Night Football versus the Broncos. I have that as a win. Week 11 versus the Jets. I have that as a loss. Week 12 at the Philadelphia Eagles. I have that as a win. Week 13, that's a bye. Week 14 at Kansas City versus the Chiefs. I'll have that as a loss. Week 15 versus the Cowboys. I have that as a win. Week 16 at Chargers. Sunday Night Football. That's a win. Week 17 versus the Patriots. That's a win. Week 18 at Miami versus the Dolphins. That's a loss. Yeah, I think they're going to be a great team. They're going to win a lot of football games. Clearly, let's look at who they have lost and gotten from the offseason real quick. Oh, I forgot to mention that they also drafted Dalton Kincaid, who I heard is not progressing in camp so far, which is not the best on what you want to hear if you're a Bills fan. But I think Kincaid's going to be good. Maybe it's not going to be his rookie year, but it might be for the years to come. All right. So they lost Poona Ford. Oh, no, they got Poona Ford. I'm not doing that. Hold on. Case Keenum. They lost Case Keenum to the Texans. Tremaine Edmonds to the Bears. Isaiah McKenzie to the Colts. Greg Van Roten to the Raiders. Justin Murray to the Raiders. Devin Singletary to the Texans. And Jaquan Johnson to the Raiders. Let's see. Poona Ford they got from the Seahawks. Deontay Hardy from the Saints. Kyle Allen from the Texans. Trent Sherfield from the Dolphins. Brandon Shell from the Dolphins. Tyler Rapp from the Saints from the Rams. Latavius Murray from the Broncos. I forgot he was on the Bills. Greg Manx from the Vikings, Damian Harris from the Patriots, Connor McGovern from the Cowboys, Traven Howard from the Rams, Cameron Klein from the Colts, David Edwards from the Rams. And they extended Tyler Bass. They signed AJ Klein, all that, and they extended Matt Milano, signed Jordan Poyer. So, all good stuff. All right. Fantasy impact. Let's do that. Let me go here. So you clearly have Josh Allen. He's one of the best quarterbacks in this league. He's going to be 1, 2, or 3, probably. I love Josh Allen. I think he's a great quarterback. However, rumor is that he's going to be on the Madden cover this year. So if that's true, I'm always out on the Madden cover guy for fantasy. I'm a big believer in the Madden curse. There's too much evidence on it. I'm not a believer in the Madden curse. I don't trust it. Don't trust it. So depending on the Madden cover for me, if he's not on it, I'm taking Josh Allen all day, every day, because I love Josh Allen. I've had him on my team before, and I've done pretty well. Keep that in mind. Stephon Diggs, obviously going to be top 10, top 5 wide receiver. Him and Allen have just been dominant in this league for the past couple seasons. So, draft Stephon Diggs. Dawson Knox. I like Dawson Knox. I think he's a little bit underrated. I just like the way he plays. He catches the ball very well. If you want to draft Knox, I can understand why, but there are obviously better tight ends out there. Gabe Davis, he's still the number 2 as of right now, to my understanding. But if they go and get a DeAndre Hopkins or another guy, I can understand why you wouldn't want to draft him or draft Gabe Davis, because, targets will go away from him. Damian Harris, he's very interesting because is he going to be the number 1 running back in Buffalo, or will it be James Cook? I can see it being Harris, and I'm fine with that, but I'm just such a big believer in James Cook. I loved James Cook in college. He was on my Georgia Bulldogs, and JC3, he's one of the best. James Cook III. I love James Cook. Love him in a dynasty. You can get him cheap right now because people are scared, but don't sleep on James Cook. All right. So the Caesars over under regular season wins. The Patriots is 7.5. I have the under. The Jets, it's 9.5. I have the over. Dolphins, it's 9.5. I have the over. And the Bills, it's 10.5. I have the over. So right now, instead of doing a top 10 list, we're going to do a seeding of the AFC. I wrote that wrong. Hold on. Seeding of the AFC. Before I do the actual seeding, I would like to talk about what I thought before I even did one scheduling. So the 7 teams that I thought would be in the playoffs for the AFC were the following: the Bengals, the Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, Browns, Jags. That was probably a couple months ago, like maybe a month after the Super Bowl. I probably wrote that down. But those are not all the teams, but that's not who I have going to the playoffs. So I'll start at number 7. Number 7, 7th seed I have going the New York Jets making the playoffs. I think they're going to be a good team, but they are just going to make the playoffs. don't think they're going to do so hot in the playoffs. 6th seed, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is going to have a good year this year. They're going to win a lot of games. So, yeah, Baltimore, that's who I have at the 6th seed. The Bills, I have as the 5th seed. Even though they go 14-3, I have the Dolphins winning that division. So, and the Titans are the 4th seed because they win their division. So the Bills, unfortunately, are kind of getting, the short end of the stick. So the 4th seed I have is the Tennessee Titans because they win their division. They're going to have a good year. I don't think they're going to win as many games as the Bills. But they win their division. They're going to get the 4th spot. The 3rd seed, I have the Bengals. They're going to win their division. They're going to have a great year. Joe Burrow is on his way to try and win a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is going to go crazy this year. Now, the 2nd seed, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, what I was talking about earlier, I have that Dolphins team beating the Chiefs. That's why they're number 1. That's why Week 9 in that Germany game, I think, is such a big telling game for the seeding. So obviously, I have the Dolphins as my number 1 seed. They get that bye week. After I do the NFC divisions, I will talk about the playoffs and talk about who I think will be going into the Super Bowl. So, yeah, Jets, Ravens, Bills, Titans, Bengals, Chiefs, Dolphins. Those are my seeds for the 2023 AFC playoffs. Yeah, that's going to do it for today. It's time for the quote of the day. I always end it with the quote of the day because I think it's fun, and I leave you off with some little bit of inspiration. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. Napoleon Bonaparte. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Comment. I am on all platforms at Bryk Breakdown. That's BRYK Breakdown. You can follow me on my personal Twitter account at Bryk Matt. That's BRYK Matt, MATT. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.